I'd like to begin by thanking the organizers of this conference that has indeed been extremely rich. My presentation, that is going to be rather brief, is going to deal with the position of the other in Maulana's Anthropology. Perhaps you'll agree with me when I say that Jalaluddin Mohammad Balkhi could be considered as one of the main thinkers of human civilization. He placed human beings at the center of human civilization. Perhaps we could even wonder what his message was and whether this message is still relevant in our time. And when you look at his teachings at a time when things are so complicated, will hope still be alive? I think when we speak about Maulana, we have to think about his multi-dimensional nature. He has so many dimensions to his knowledge and to his life. And the fact that he wrote in so many different languages and the fact that he composed music was indeed something that was stunning. Maulana worked very hard to promote tolerance and the respect for the other. This is why we can state that Maulana, in all his humanist grandeur, considered that the me and the other were at the center of his thinking. Poem.
پنهان شدم ای هست تو پنهان شده در هستی پنهان من از همین رو انسان را از شگفتی.
So you can see that Rumi considered man as one of the masterpieces of God's creation. Poem.
به همین دلیل میتوان مدعی شد که اگر بحث
This is why we can claim that mystics actually spoke of the other because it was something that pertained to their ethics. But for Maulana, this actually took on a whole other dimension, an ontological dimension. For him, the soul was something that existed, and you couldn't take that into consideration without taking into consideration the existence of the other. And he, in fact, spoke widely about this topic. Someone that considers himself or herself to be the center of the universe will not be able to open themselves to the other and will not be able to make meaningful relationships with the other. This unilateral thinking of oneself for Rumi came from the ignorance of the other. And for researchers, what is problematic when it comes to analyzing all of this in modern times is to find other exit points. Kant, for instance, completely ignores the other. There is no place for the other in ethics. Other thinkers, such as Martin Bauer, Gabriel Garcel, Heidegger, and many other thinkers, especially in the postmodernist context, claimed that modernity as a concept was going to fail. And they were looking for a way out of this crisis on the ethics and on the morals front. They were seeking to come out of this monolithic conception of humanity. And this is why Maulana's message is so important and so interesting to Western thinkers, because they recognize these ideas. Another German scholar says that the only hope that exists today is that comes from Rumi's work. Nicholson considered him to be the greatest mystical poet of all times. Carmen Barks also noted that Maulana, in fact, had taken over the Americas. His popularity in the US is noteworthy. Maulana's greatest message in today's day and time has proven to be extremely useful. The place of the other in Maulana's humanism could provide us with a response to the spiritual crisis that we're facing today. Especially at a time when we need dialectic training to understand oneself and the other, and where we need more training when it comes to intercultural training. And so today we're forced to think further on this subject in light of Maulana says to us. We can conclude that today's world, although it is far removed from Maulana's time, we still need to promote Maulana's humanism. Maulana's mysticism is open and accessible to all. Respecting each other, altruism, are all valid values even today. His thinking goes beyond borders, beyond religions, beyond sects. He only ever shows tolerance and erases the differences between Jews, Muslims, and Zoroastrians. And for him, he condemns prejudice and says that his religion is that of love. Poem.
ما هم دل و جان بهر شکستش داریم. با گمان مولانا جایگاه بخشیدن به دیگری.
For Maulana, we have to make place for the other, i.e., be aware of one's own limits. And thus, you can recognize that the other has the right to think differently. And you realize the limits of your own knowledge. And in fact, Shams also says that the other has a right to speak. If the other doesn't have the right to speak, then what is speech ever useful for? Maulana Balkhi also believes that human beings cannot have knowledge of the absolute truth, and that awareness of the other can help him go beyond his intellectual capacities. And 5 centuries after Maulana, major personalities of the Renaissance in the West took up this idea.
ببخشید سخن طولانی خواهد شد. من در پایان فقط عرض میکنم.
I'm going to cut short my speech. I'm sorry about that, but let me just conclude by saying that Maulana, as a humanist, was convinced that the human beings are capable of attaining absolute knowledge and anniversary. Perhaps we could name this as the International Day of Respect of Others and Tolerance. Thank you very much, Professor Hossein Eshraq. You've presented very well the philosophical point of view.
سپاسگزار از همه شما که در این برنامه شرکت کردید. در حدود 38 سخنرانی اینجا بود و در حدود 700,000 نفر هم همراه ما بودن بدونی که ما اونا رو ببینیم. و از اونا هم که شما رو دوست داشتن و از راه دور، از لس آنجلس و از آمریکا و از ازبکستان و از همه جا شما رو تماشا می‌کردن، ایران البته از همه بیشتر، و ما به اونها درود می‌فرستیم و از اونها به خاطر اینکه به ما توجه کردن سپاسگزاری می‌کنیم، که البته به ما توجه هم اندازه نکردن، بیشتر به مولانا توجه داشتن، ولی خب ما تو این راه افتاده تو این بین میریم. حالا تشکر میکنیم از همه شما که تشریف آوردید، قدم رنجه کردید، از راه دور اینجا آمدید، از 14 تا کشور در این سخنرانی ها بودن، شرکت کرده بودن. حالا ما باید از اینجا یک یادگاری هممون با هم ببریم و پیشنهادی که جناب دکتر حسین اشراق کردن این بود که روز تولد مولانا به عنوان روز جهانی احترام به دیگری گرامی داشته شود. البته روز تولد مولانا 30 سپتامبر هست 1207 و این روز در تاجیکستان اصلا روز مولانا هست. ما خواهشمون این است از نمایندگانی که در اینجا تشریف دارن که همون فقط نگوین که زادروز مولانا، همون روز رو ما بگوییم احترام به دیگری به مناسبت مولانا. اگر کسانی که حاضر هستند در این مجلس قبول دارن دستشون رو بالا کنن. کسی مخالف نیست؟ درست. پس ما از معاون رئیس جمهور تاجیکستان که اینجا تشریف دارن خواهش میکنیم که این مسئله رو خیلی جدی از طریق وزارت فرهنگ تاجیکستان ببینن که ما روز 30 سپتامبر رو در همه جا آزادانه بتوانیم بگوییم روز احترام به دیگری. خانم پیشنهادی دارید؟
نه، فقط جالبه چون که 30 سپتامبر ضمناً روز جهانی ترجمه است، بنابراین همه مترجمان مولانا 2 بزرگداشت خواهند داشت.
بله خب دیگه او هم زبان همفهمیه دیگه، درسته؟ بله بعد پهلوی اینجور خانم نشسته باشه که بفهمیم اونم بوده. خیلی خیلی متشکرم.